Dynaphones connected. Initiating broadcast signal in
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies, gentlemen, and knights of the Nerd World Order, this is the Nerd World Order broadcast. I am the man that you call Dukes, and to my right, it's all about the
Booyah! What's up? It's your boy Joe, baby.
and to my other right, weighing in at 178 adamantium pounds, coming straight out of Krakoa, Alfonso X-Man Flores.
Oh, you nicked the tip. The little steak knives.
We will be getting into Alfonso's tips and knowledge about the X-Men because we are going to be discussing X-Men by proxy, Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, we haven't seen the movie. This is actually going to be our predictions for what we know is going to happen because Alfonso will be watching trailers, for what we don't hope happens because it's Marvel, and what we hope and pray is going to happen because we're still Marvel fanboys. So let's get into this episode. Deadpool predictions from the one, the only Nerd World broadcast. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So I'm going to start off with Alfonso.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, bro? So how excited are you for this movie?
11-3.
11-3, which also happens to be my age.
I am turbo excited, man.
Nice.
Man, I can't wait. I can't wait.
And Joe, what's your level of excitement?
I'm looking forward to watching it.
Nice. I am looking forward to watching it. I would say this is the first, if we want to call it a Marvel movie, I'm not sure if we do or not. I think this will, don't do that, Dukes. We're going to talk about that later. I'm going to say it's the first Marvel movie that I have been excited for in a while. I enjoyed the Marvels, but I wasn't excited for it. I'm excited for this movie. I'm very excited. So let's start off by talking about what we know about the movie so far. Now, I am anti-trailer. I try not to watch trailers. Let's say 30 days before a movie, I will not watch trailers because I hate being spoiled. So I'm not going to have much to contribute. I'm just going to keep saying, I didn't see that. So Alfonso X-Man Flores, I'm going to turn it over to you because you are the expert of the X-Men and Deadpool by proxy.
All right.
What do we know is going to happen so far?
So just at this point, what we're hearing is that everything that we've seen in the trailer so far happens within the first 30 minutes of the movie. So the whole movie's not spoiled, just the very beginning, right? So it starts off with a party for Deadpool, right? I'm guessing it's some kind of birthday celebration. And if you notice and you look around the room, you see all the members of X-Force that died in the previous movie. So apparently they're still alive. All right.
I don't know.
Well, that's what's happening. So I'm looking forward to seeing people like, Shatterstar, of course. Kimiko. Kimiko's great. What was the guy's name? What do you call him? Huggy Bear or something? Oh, man. And you can clearly see the Vanisher. No, you don't see the Vanisher. So anyways, he's surrounded by his loved ones. He's celebrating his birthday. Things seem to be going well. He's got a hairpiece on. I think he staples it on. And all of a sudden there's a knock at the door. It's the TVA from, TV's Loki, from Disney Plus's Loki. The TVA is at his door. And apparently there's some kind of issue going on with, I don't know, the timelines. It could be happening from all the other Marvel movies, or just the fact that Deadpool got a hold of Cable's time traveling device and went through and saved every member of X-Force that's in that room. So they take him to the TVA. There's some conversations.
Are you hypothesizing on that?
No.
So that you're sure he time traveled and went back and saved every member of X-Force?
Well, at the end of Deadpool 2, they show him time traveling, they show him righting wrongs, but he has that party going on and the members of X-Force are there.
So that's what we call in science land a hypothesis.
It could be a dream. You never know. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking as you were talking alternate timeline, but technically it would have to be if he goes back in time, therefore it becomes an alternate timeline. But I digress, which I may do once or twice.
No worries.
Continue on, learned professor of the X.
So let's see. To my knowledge, he gets to the TVA and they, we got a mission for you. And he decides that he's going to be Marvel Jesus and save, I don't know, the timeline. Then you fast forward through a little bit. Next thing you know, he's in the dirt somewhere with a Fox logo behind him, destroyed, like as if that universe has been destroyed. And there's a shadowy figure over him. Turns out to be Wolverine. Him and Wolverine team up. They do that Reservoir Dogs walk. They go do their thing. Later on, it's like as I'm piecing together, I'm trying to, the order that they had. You see Sabretooth and you see Toad, and there's a couple other people in the background. Pyro, I believe, is there too. But Sabretooth jumps down. Wolverine and him have a little tete-a-tete, and they go at it. What else do they see? You see Deadpool and Wolverine jumping through a portal. It looks very much like one of the Doctor Strange portals from Endgame. Is that where he's going to end up? You see Lady Deadpool walking. You only know it's her because the legs are a lot thinner. You see Uzis, and she's the only one that really uses Uzis because
she's oozing
Uzis. Pew-pews. The Uzi.
The pew-pews are oozing. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going, Alfonso. We're going PG-13, bro. Stop it.
I just got to the newest trailer just a little bit before we started here, and they show Lady Deadpool's body up to her neck. You see long blonde hair draped over her shoulders, a couple of Uzis in her holsters, and she's ready to go. Some other things you see in the trailer, you get to see like a big cloud. I don't know, kind of like Galactus in that Fantastic Four movie coming over, but it could also be whoever it was in Loki that was eating up all the bad timelines.
Yeah, so, I would say that's more likely, keeping with the TVA. Right. I think I just think that's more likely instead of it being Galactus.
It could be Parallax from Green Lantern, but that was yellow.
Could be, but that would be very nice. A little homage there. That'd be very nice.
There is a lot going on. They don't really show much. If you look at it, you're right. You could tell that it is all from kind of the same scenes, maybe 2 or 3 scenes. So where's it going to go from here? That's what we're here to explore. We're here to figure out what we think is going to happen. First of all, what we hope doesn't happen. Joe, am I missing anything from the trailers that you noticed that seems like we should be mentioning?
Nah, you can pretty much covered everything. You're better at synopsis than I am, but so I don't think there's anything that you missed.
So you have actually created multiple areas of clarification for me, Alfonso. So rewinding a little bit. So when you spoke to, the opening there with X-Force and the TVA and everything in that case. So now is this TVA, as you recall, in Loki, the last version of the TVA that we saw? Now, was the TVA still around at the end of Loki, or did Loki becoming the Tree of Life negate the need for the TVA?
In my opinion, I mean, they didn't really show what happened there, but I think he still has the TVA working for him.
You're right, because at the end of that, they did show the TVA and they mentioned Kang. Yeah. So the TVA would still exist in some fashion. So this would be, and once again, we don't know, but the impression that we get, this is a post Loki movie. Does that seem right?
I'm thinking so. Actually, I think where we're at in Deadpool is pretty much where the MCU timeline is right now before they get into Secret Wars and all that.
Gotcha. Okay. So another question that I have, you're speaking regarding, like, let's say the whole Fox logo, everything like that. Now there is a scene where we see a giant size Ant-Man skull head open up. So Now, as far as that goes, it do we know exactly where they are? Like, once again, I guess my question is, and I don't want to hypothesize because we'll do that here in a little bit, but was it ever explained where they're at, or are we just guessing at this point?
We're really just guessing at this point. One thing we do know about that giant Scott Lang decomposed body is it's the home base for Cassandra Nova. That's the main thing I'm missing there. She is going to be the main villain. So we know, or what we've been led to believe, she's going to be the main villain of this show. Basically, she's Charles Xavier's twin sister who was killed in the womb by Professor Xavier because he sensed great evil in her, but she kind of hung around like a parasite and eventually worked her way out. So they show a really cool scene of her like puppetizing Wolverine. She throws up her arms. Wolverine's arms go up. She throws him down. He falls to the ground. So Cassandra Nova, you got to think is Professor X level telepath with no restrictions. So ooh.
Interesting. There are so many theories that could be developed based on that. As far as Cassandra Nova goes, I don't think they're going to go with her traditional origin, because I feel like with alternate timelines, they'll be able to do other stuff with that. Okay, so we've covered Cassandra Nova. Let's see here. Now, as far as Lady Deadpool goes, I'm going to say this. Who cares? Somebody cares about Lady Deadpool. Like, no one's ever like, oh, you know what I got? First appearance of Lady Deadpool. No, nobody says that. So who cares about Lady Deadpool? Now, I feel like that's going to be throwaway. It's just going to be something else. But Alfonso, can you educate us on who is the boringness of Lady Deadpool?
No. Lady Deadpool must have happened at a time between wives. And when Alfonso's collection had to come to a standstill, I'm just getting back on board and trying to fill in the holes. There is quite a few things that I still don't quite recall. I mean, the 90s, complete clarity, the 80s, clarity, 70s, clarity, 2000s, pretty good. But the 210s, the 2 aughts, not so much.
Okay. That's fair enough. Now, yeah, the one thing that I've seen in the trailers, I saw. Oh, first of all, Jack in the Box got the mini chimichangas or whatever. I'm gonna pick some of those up, man, because those look good. Yeah, they have a promotion going, a little cross promotion. I'm gonna have to pick up that Deadpool stuff. The Jack in the Box next to my house. I don't think Joe ever went there, but it just burned down.
No.
Yes.
Because of the heat. Ontario just burned that crap down, bro.
There was one little piece of broken glass next to it, and it just lit it up.
Dude, you know that's what happened, bro. Like, you don't even see any ants in Ontario, bro.
You're right. The answer, like, it's too hot here.
Ontario.
Yeah. So I think, Alfonso, you've done a phenomenal job of
Thank you.
bringing us up to speed on the trailers. So thank you very much for that.
Hey, I have a quick question.
Yes,
so, Cassandra Nova is not the ancient one?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they look just like the same character to me.
Just not all beautiful bald women are the same people.
Bro, they look the same character to me, bro.
You can't say they all look alike.
Well, I can. They do it to us all the time.
Yeah. It's interesting, Joe, because now that you point that out, I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay. Well, for me, I find it interesting that they're using Cassandra Nova because she's not even like a D-list character. What I mean by that is, oh yeah, she's powerful, blah blah blah. She's got the weakest, most contrived origin ever, blah blah blah. But nobody ever heard of Cassandra Nova. When I say nobody, I mean nobody except Alfonso had ever heard of Cassandra Nova prior to that Deadpool trailer rolling. And even though I went out and I tried to get the first appearance of Cassandra Nova, people aren't even hyped over it. I was able to pick up like a first appearance for like $30. So yeah, there's that. Yep. So let's transition into talking about what we hope we do not receive from Deadpool. That's a tough one for me because all I'm hoping for is just don't disappoint me, Ryan Reynolds. I have been very impressed with every project Ryan Reynolds has been on, except in rom-coms Joe be watching. Other than that, I would say, and I'm kidding, I've never seen them, so I can't be disappointed. But other than the rom-coms that I haven't watched, I think I did watch the one with Sandra Bullock because Sandra Bullock. But other than that, I've liked everything that he's been doing, like the Adam Project. I never saw Free Guy because apparently I'm a loser.
Green Lantern.
Bro, I actually like Green Lantern.
I like Green Lantern too, bro. It got a lot of hate. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I wish they would have just rolled him in to like the DCU, like the
Right.
new one.
Yeah,
It was good.
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Like I said, everything. So all I hope is that he doesn't disappoint. I can't say like, oh, I hope this character's in there or that character's in there because is Nightcrawler going to be in there? Maybe. I don't care. I just want a good movie. That's what I mean by it. Like I have no expectations. I think it's going to be a good movie. Therefore, I can't say what I hope doesn't happen. But I know Alfonso is an expert. So Alfonso, give us some stuff that you hope doesn't happen.
Well, I mean, I'm really welcoming everything that's coming at me. I can't wait to see what happens, how they do this. As far as Deadpool goes, I mean, the only thing I've seen about Deadpool that I did not like is the way they did him dirty in Wolverine X-Men Origins, right? They set up his mouth, they gave him long sword arms and Cyclops's optic blast. Come on, make Deadpool not Deadpool, and that's how you ruin it. It's like Green Lantern. Green Lantern, in my opinion, was doing great until they got to the villain and they changed it. Why would they do that? If they would have just kept going with what they were doing, everything would have been fine. You know what I mean? Now It's a dumpster fire.
Well, related to that, I think didn't they already make an allusion in the first Deadpool movie to the Deadpool that was in Wolverine's origin? Didn't they show like an action figure or something like that?
No, they showed an action figure, but they actually showed Deadpool take him out.
Oh, okay. Okay. Awesome. So, I mean, from that perspective, I feel like Ryan Reynolds has enough of a sense of humor that I could see them referring to that again. And I feel like he's invested in the character enough that they're not just going to go sideways. But as you say that, Alfonso, I hope Kevin Feige just keeps his hands off of it.
Right. Here's one thing that I could think of that I wouldn't want them to do. So from the way it sounds like this Wolverine is the same Wolverine from Logan, the Logan movie, in a previous time. Not like before all that Logan stuff happened, before he got so old and drove the limo around with Professor X. I think that's that same Logan because the way they talk about the events that transpired in his universe, it would make sense. It would be the same one. My one worry would be is if they took that and negated everything that happened in Logan, because we can't have that. My second worry is that they get all these people who played X-Men before and carry them into the Marvel universe because they're too old.
I wouldn't care if they negated everything that happened in Logan because Logan's already happened. Like it was a good movie.
Yes.
And so even if you say it didn't happen, guess what? It's supposed to happen in the future anyway. So, as comic books go and comic book movies go, it's like, oh, this didn't happen, but then this happened, which means it did happen. But then this happened and this happened, which means it didn't happen. But half of it happened. So I'm not worried about that. They could say that never happened and I'm good. Now, as far as the other X-Men being in the movie, I mean, I'm hoping that Halle Berry's in it, of course, and I'm hoping that they do bring back Jamka Fanke. I'm hoping she comes back too. I probably butchered her name, huh? It's not Jamka Fanke, is it?
Famke Jensen. Famke Jensen. And don't get me wrong. I want them in the movie, but I don't want to carry them over to the Marvel universe. I want them to be done.
Okay, I did have a question. When they
Yes.
showed Toad and Sabretooth, was it the Toad and Sabretooth from the original X-Men movies?
That is Ray Park and I don't know what's his name, Tyler Durden, Trevor something. I don't know, the professional wrestler who was never. I didn't. He was not in WCW or WWE because I didn't see him. But
Is it Tyler Mane?
yeah, Tyler Durden. Yeah, I'm Maine.
Cool. So it is them. So that's cool.
Yes.
Now, as far as them rolling over, and I know you don't want them to, but I did read an X-Men arc story or whatever where the young X-Men came into the older X-Men universe, and I thought it was cool for a day or two, and then I got bored with it. What if they did something like that? Would you be like, boo?
No, not really. I mean, you give me all the X-Men that's been out there before and let them meet each other and hang out. I'm totally cool with that. I mean, I would love to see, young Cyclops and old Cyclops together, it'd be, the young Jean Grey, the old Jean Grey, I'm sure Cyclops would like that. I know Wolverine would.
Because if you bring in X-Men First Class, you would also have Emma Frost, right?
Yes, you would.
Okay. There's so many things they can do. So go ahead, Alfonso. I see that.
Oh, no. I was almost about to start talking about things that I really, really want.
Okay, I gotcha. As you're talking about it and you're like, I hope they don't do this and I don't do that. I think I spoke to this previously. This could be the most like a hot mess that is hot Terrio worthy as far as how hot this hot mess could be, because there's just so much material, whether it be the X-Men movies or whether it be the Deadpool books, because everyone's like, oh, this is going to be Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. It's like, but is it though? What is it? And then you have Cassandra Nova, so you have her. There's just so much. So I hope they don't try to put too much in this burrito, because if there's one thing I hate is when I ask me for a carne asada burrito with everything, and then I get it home and they put rice and beans in there. I do not want rice and beans in this movie. Do not.
What about you, Joe? Is there anything that you're absolutely not wanting in this movie?
Well, you guys are talking about how they had like the old First Class with the older ones, but then you need to replace the First Class anyways because they're not coming back. So do you bring 3 different ones? Which that would have been a good idea if they didn't, because they're going to bring back the old ones. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think the First Class ones. Well, maybe, you never know, but I think it's going to be the old, the older X-Men and stuff like that. But I really wish I didn't have to look forward to the different multiverses anymore, but we got Secret Wars because I'm kind of over that. I think they did such a bad job in Phase 4. Aha, I looped it back into Phase 4 again. It sucks so bad that I'm kind of over it now and I'm burnt out from it. But the cool connection is when Deadpool 2 came out, Fox wasn't bought by Disney yet, I want to say. And so they did their little time skip, and it kind of tied in perfectly for the TVA. I thought that was pretty cool. But to your point, like, there's a reason why I go to a burrito joint and be like, yo, can I get a carne asada burrito with sour cream and cheese only? Because that's what I want. They make sure that they don't put anything else in my burrito. But unfortunately, we can't do that with this movie because it's their idea, not ours.
True. I agree 100%, bro.
Cilantro, onions, and guac. I'm telling you. And French fries, because it's got to be a California burrito.
Yeah, I mean, they're good. California burritos are pretty good. Con queso y crema. Also.
I don't like that cotija stuff, though. I don't like it.
I thought cotija was a drink.
No, it's that little white little shredded goat cheese, not shredded, but like congealed.
Oh yeah, some places do that. I'm not a fan of that. They usually get that on a lot of roll tacos.
Yeah. Mexican fusion. That's what that's.
Yeah. I'm just gonna have to start calling people like, get out of here, Cotija. Nobody likes Cotija. Get out of here, you. Just popping out, sprinkling yourself on top.
It's like dried cottage cheese.
It is. What? Who wants that? Like, there's some toppings that people were just like, oh, we'll put this on here just because you couldn't get rid of it otherwise. That's Cotija. I didn't even know what it was.
One other thing that we had to like just rewind really quick. Let's travel back in time with Cable's time device, and we're not talking about burritos. We're talking about chimichangas. Because Deadpool.
Mini chimichangas at Jack in the Box. As long as your Jack in the Box doesn't burn down, then you can get you some mini chimichangas. So
maybe your Jack in the Box was like, oh, we're not going to serve them chimichangas here. And they're like, oh, yeah?
It's a possibility. There's a Jack in the Box close to my office, but then I'm like, but bro, that would mean I'd have to have it for lunch or I'd have to have it on my way home. And I'm not trying to do that. Like that's
dangerous.
That's greasy. I'm end up falling asleep driving home.
Yeah. Pyro comes and shows up.
So here's one thing that I would request from you guys as we talk about and we transition into what we hope happens. Cameos. I've heard so much about cameos, and I think nobody cares about the MCU anymore to the point where there's no spoilers. Because I feel like previously at this point, there would have been like a million spoilers, but no one's trying to spoil it because no one's like really hyped up like that anymore. So as we transition into what we hope happens, which I have high hopes, like high apple pie in the sky hopes. Let's talk cameos. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about what we hope happens, because I feel like there is so much pressure being put on this movie. I feel like this movie is the kid where his parents and his grandparents are saying, you're going to be the first one to graduate from college. He was like Blue Beetle, right? where his whole family was like, you're going to be the first one to graduate from college. And he's like, I'm going to graduate from college. But then he might come out and be like Blue Beetle and just have to work on cleaning gum from underneath seats. And I feel like that's the expectation of this movie. So the expectation is so high because, to Joe's point, I may have heard this once or twice, but Phase 4 is so much garbage right now. We're hoping that this movie fixes Phase 4. But that's some major expectations. It was so big. If y'all are watching this on the YouTubes, which I encourage you to do, Alfonso just had to take a swig of his Surge energy drink. So fixing the MCU, I'm going to turn it over to you guys. That's my first thing. I hope it does. Is there too much pressure for that?
Well, first of all, you said cameos. So it's like candy. Ow. Come on. No. Sorry. Joe, you can pick it up first. I'll tag along.
It's like candy, like candy. I can't get that out of my head now. But like, I just hope there's not too many cameos. Like, there's going to be a lot, but I think he does really good at doing cameos, like a Brad Pitt cameo, short and sweet. Like he doesn't extend it. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping it's going to be a lot of that. Phase 4 was so bad, dude. He can do no wrong in this movie. If we're being real about it, you know what I mean? So I think Ryan Reynolds, the one thing we can see from Ryan Reynolds is this guy cares about Deadpool, and he cares enough for Wolverine to get him back in there, and fought for him to get back in there. And Sean Levy loves both the characters, and so even Hugh Jackman said that he's so glad that other than himself loves Wolverine characters so much, and it was Ryan Reynolds. And they're good friends, so they're both gonna like say, hey, this is what we want to do, this is what we don't want to do. And I think it should be a lot better. So I mean, and Ryan Reynolds knows how bad Phase 4 was. He has to, because it's terrible. And this is this first Disney movie with Marvel, so it has to be good. I don't think he's just going to come out, because I know like the first Deadpool was good and the second one was decent, right? And so he knows this one has to come out and be better.
I agree. And the bar is low. I mean, that always helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, the bar is definitely low. So, regarding cameos, I think I've heard that Blade, Wesley Snipes, is
Mhm.
supposed to come back as Blade. I'm like, no. Like, if it doesn't make sense, don't put it in there. Maybe it's
Yeah.
going to make sense, but I mean, you're doing too much. You're just doing
Mhm.
too much.
I think if Sony can do, I always get a mix up. Was it Far From Home, the last one?
No way home.
No
No,
way
No
home.
Way Home. The way they brought in, there was a lot of those cameos, and they did it right.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was good for the story and it pushed the story along.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say, if Ryan does do something like that, he could either do two things. He could either make sure it's written well enough for Blade to come in,
Mm-hmm.
or it could be a funny skit with Blade in the background. Like he just happens to run through the multiverse like that, him and Wolverine, and lands up and there's Blade in the classic scene of the club killing people. I can see
Mhm.
him doing something like that, which
Yeah.
is you have a cameo and it's still dope because you can kind of recreate some of the scenes. And
Mhm.
then they look and they go, "What the heck?" And then they jump through another portal, and then that's how you could do. And so I'm pretty sure if he does have a lot of cameos, it'll be something like that.
Mhm.
I don't think they're hopping in. Again, speculating. I don't think they hop in that portal just one time. I think, but then it would be cliche if they start, ring hopping and going everywhere else
Yeah.
because that's what you would normally do because that's what they do in comics. But I think if they're going to do different cameos, I could see them doing that. Just because it's
Yeah.
easier, just like they did with the Flash. Remember when he was running and he was seeing like
Mhm.
like Nicolas Cage, who was wanted to be Superman. So a little stuff like that. I can see
Yeah.
them doing that.
So, do you guys think, because we're predicting and speculating, we have on our Nostradamus hats, will we see Deadpool and Wolverine in the final fight for the Infinity War when everyone's coming through the portals? Will they be in that now?
Dude, I just wrote that down. I just wrote that down because I'm thinking they're gonna pop up in the end game. I mean, there is so much going on right there that you know who can tell if he popped in, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can zoom in really quick. There he is. They have Ant-Man flying with Wasp going over to the van, and then there's a giant Ant-Man over here. So it's like they could explain how that happened. You know what I mean? He can, oh well, I brought an Ant-Man with me and he grew big to stop that thing. And then, oh yeah, there's an Ant-Man over there too. Well, we better take this one out. You know, as far as the cameos go, give them all to me. You know what I mean? I'm going to be happy if Deadpool and Wolverine close the book on all of old Marvel. You got Wesley Snipes, you take him out. You got anybody, you take him out. You know what I mean? You can have like even like the people from that show The Gifted, right? There was an X-Men show where they didn't say X-Men, and you had like Polaris, Magneto's daughter, and everything was alluded to all the time, but we knew she was Polaris, we knew she was Magneto's daughter. You had Legion where there was Professor Xavier's son. He had 3 seasons of a show. You've got, dude, there was an old 90s Generation X TV show. Dude, if they bring some of those people in just to kill them, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be so happy. There's going to be so many people that are just going to be jaw dropped like, yes, they did that for me. And that's how I feel about X-Men 97. They did that for me. I can't wait. I mean, it's like you've got all this stuff that's happened. Why not have it had happened in the past and you're closing the book on it, you're slicing it up, you're throwing it away, you're flushing it down the toilet, it's gone. Now we roll forward with what's good, right? What's good, little homie?
If you were gonna do nice, well played. If you were gonna do that, I would rather have them do it the first part of the movie, bro. Like,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? I wouldn't want them at the end of the movie. I don't know. Get it over with. But if that's just too many people you got to pay and come in. I just can't see Kevin Feige doing that because that you figure those are different contracts. Is I think because I think we've had a discussion before, like how they had they can't make new characters yet because they had to wait a certain amount of time because the other character, like the first class, they have their little pay that they're guaranteed to get these monies, and I'm wondering if that's some of the older X-Men, if they still had like one movie left or whatever, that they got to obligate to their contract, and that way that'll be the closing book. To your point, Alf,
Right.
the closing book to that stuff. But I really don't need a lot of cameos. I need the right cameos, right? So like, you can go to an all-you-can-eat, place to eat, but sometimes if you just go to one spot and have that 3 or 4 item that's just bomb is better than all you can eat, even though you have a lot of stuff to choose from. So I'm okay. If it's strategically placed, I'm with it.
Yeah.
And to Alan's point, if there's a reason, and I think he's good at it, but I don't need fan service for older X-Men, to be honest. I don't need fans. I like him with Patrick Stewart because I've always been a fan of him, like in Star Trek and stuff. So it's always good to see him, and then Gandalf, but I really don't need anybody else. Holly Berry, I'm sorry. Sorry, Holly Berry. I need her back. But other than that, I really don't care about any other cameos in that Fox universe. Because I was a huge X-Men fan, but I was one of those dudes in the beginning, like, come on, dude, Black. Like, because I wanted the old school feel of it, because that's what I was reading, the Chris Claremonts, the Jim Lee. You know what I mean? So, like, those were my dudes, man, with the Will Patachios. And it's like, to see that, I didn't want to see that in the movie, right? And then, at that time, when Alan stopped reading the X-Men, I was a huge fan of Jubilee, who wrote Wolverine, even though Alf says back in the day it was like Rogue, but in the comics that I was reading now, it wasn't Rogue, it was Jubilee. And I felt like, where was Jubilee, to help him through all that stuff like she did in the comics. So like, I'm cool with them closing the chapter on that crap, dude. I'm happy Wolverine has his old school uniform. I would love to see if they're going to bring back the old X-Men or whatever, or if they're doing a flashback where he's actually the Wolverine that killed the X-Men. To see them and all of them, and even the old ones wearing that uniform. Now I would be with that.
Yeah,
because that would be dope as hell. But let me run this by. I was talking to Alan the other day about it. What if this Wolverine is not the Logan that died? And you do that so you don't tarnish that Logan movie because it's a different Wolverine. Mm-hmm. So you can still have Hugh Jackman come back, but he's not that Logan that had died.
Mm.
That way you can still, and I can see something like, like Ryan Reynolds doing something like that. That's a great movie. I'm not going to mess with it. You're a different Wolverine.
Yeah.
And so we don't have to worry about anything. So now they get you, and they can still have that Logan that died.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they can pluck Wolverine from anywhere. Yeah, it's like, why mess with that? But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this, man. I mean, what about, like, are you guys interested in seeing the old Fantastic Four, the 2 different teams of Fantastic Four getting just demolished?
No. If it means I can see Jessica Alba again, sure.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Nope, nothing wrong, baby.
The only reason I'd want to see that is because I would want to see
Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Reynolds. Oh, no, Steve.
Yeah.
Why can't I think of his name?
Me either.
Steve Rogers?
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. Yeah, seeing both of them on the screen at the
cool.
same time. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be super cool. Yeah. See,
or give my boy Dr. Doom some justice. Kill off those whack dooms, bro.
Justice for Doom.
Yeah, dude. Hashtag Justice for Dooms.
Dude, how would you like it if both Human Torches come fly at each other and look at each other all stupid, and Iceman just comes up and just boom, takes him down?
I'd be okay with that.
I would too.
Yeah, I'd totally be okay with that. I feel like there runs the risk of there being way too many sight gags and like, oh, you wink, wink, nudge. It's like, nah, bro. Like at some point, Deadpool works because it balances out the comedy with action and heart and character.
Right.
So I hope they don't go too far with it. You know what I hope it isn't? Now that I think about it, Thor: Love and Thunder. because Thor: Love and Thunder just went way too far. Like even the axe had a comedic role.
Right.
You know, don't no. The goats had a comedic role. Everybody in that movie wanted to be a comedian, and that ruined the movie. We need a straight man. You
Yeah.
know, there has to be someone with no sense of humor.
Even well, if it's done right, right? If it's
Yeah.
done right.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally.
but even Chris Hemsworth says like, "Yo, if I'm making, I want to make another Thor, but I'm not making that kind of Thor."
Right.
Yeah.
he was just like, "Dude, yeah, yeah,
Which I'm down for. I will forgive him for that, and he can just bring something else, and I'm
Yeah.
good.
mhm,
Yeah, totally. I
yeah."
totally agree with that. So I did have a question for you guys because I feel like we're overlooking the Cassandra Nova aspect of this. So my perspective is I feel like she's going to be Professor X from an alternative timeline,
Hmm.
as opposed to being like, I was in the womb and then I thought myself into existence, but for some reason I didn't have hair. So um I feel like she is going to have something to do with actually wanting to destroy Deadpool's universe specifically.
Hmm.
And that is going to be the catalyst for him needing to go everywhere else. So, Alfonso, you actually know who Cassandra Nova is. What do you think?
Yeah, I think all she wants is destruction. You know, she wants to take all the mutants down. She'll even incorporate Sentinels to do her bidding. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, she had chicken Sentinels. I don't know what was up with that. Little tiny Sentinels that were like chickens. Stupid. But anyways, yeah. I mean, possibilities are endless with this. I mean, it's like I want to speculate, I want to think, but at the same time, I just want to just sit back and relax. Now, when you told me that you haven't been watching the trailers, I'm like, man, I wish I could have done that because it would be so awesome to see everything for the first time, you know. But luckily, like I said, they're only going with like the first half hour of the movie. So
Yeah.
you still got what, another 3 hours of the movie. It's like what, a 6 hour movie, 2-part epic with an
So
intermission.
how long is it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, because yeah, we just did that. So I do not like long movies. So I'm hoping they keep this right around 2 hours and I'm good. And hold on, Alfonso's throwing up the horns, which could also be
Almost 2 hours and 7 minutes.
okay. That's perfect. That is perfect. Ryan Reynolds, you are the man. You understand. People ain't trying to sit through 3 hour movies, my dude. We ain't trying to sit through your 3 hour movies. Kevin Feige, Phase 4 Feige.
Okay, so man, I shouldn't be looking at this. But what I'm doing right now is I'm looking at the cast and it's giving me a lot of information.
Don't do that, Alfonso.
Sorry.
Don't do that.
You know what's crazy? The movie comes out like next week,
Yes.
and you don't really know that much about it,
Yeah.
Right.
other than the trailer. How? That's just crazy that they kept it that tight.
Yeah.
Didn't they say they've already debuted it in like Singapore or something?
I don't think so because it would be out. It'd be all over the TikTok.
Yeah.
Because when they did that with Spider-Man, dude, like I remember we all before that movie came out, we all got off social media for like like
Right.
that last week,
Yeah.
just because of stuff that can pop. And it's not there's nothing on TikTok about that. So I think they let people watch, to your point, the first 35 minutes of it, and that's it.
Now,
And even go ahead.
no. Go ahead, bro.
And even with that 35 minutes, no one can really say anything. So what happens in that 35 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, was it not good enough to talk about, or or they signed that little thing? But so far, people said it has been good the first 35 minutes. It was good. So
That's Ryan Reynolds is so smart, and I'm not trying to be a Ryan Reynolds fanboy or anything, but I guess I am in kind of a way. But like he's so smart because everyone else would have just released like, oh, we had these special sneak premieres and everything like that. He's like, you know what? Here is a little sample. And you like this sample. And you're going to tell your friends you like this sample. and then you're going to come back for the entire meal. That's so smart. That's so
Mhm.
smart. You know,
Yeah.
you know what? You know why they couldn't do that for Phase 4? Because when people tasted that sample, they would have been like, blah. You know, so it's like, dude, we know this is going to be good simply
Yeah.
because he's giving us a sample.
Yeah, I think it's just the writers, bro, and the directors, bro. Like
Mhm.
nowadays, it's like, you know, uh, when I had to work at UPS, you had to go to an extensive interview process to get it to
Mhm.
work at UPS, and the only way your name was getting in there is you had to know somebody that worked there. Otherwise, you couldn't get in there. You had a family member that worked there, or like a friend that recommended you. Where I feel like when Kevin Feige in Phase 4 just didn't do that anymore. He just said, "Hey, show me ID over 18. Cool, cool, cool. All right, this is your movie. Go ahead, have fun." Like no training whatsoever. Just say, "Hey, that's the fry thing. Go figure it out. Cook some fries."
Yeah, you're right. You know, I feel like in, like, let's say Phase 1 and 2, maybe 3, we would see like pictures of the actors and actresses with like stacks of comic books that they would be reading prior to the movies. You know, you would hear the directors talking about how like they always wanted to make like this type of movie, or like they really have like a connection with the characters. Whereas with Phase 4, they were like, oh, let's bring in this director because he's the hot ticket, or she's the hot ticket. But she had no interest in ever making one of these movies until Marvel became hot, as opposed to the other way around. So you're totally right, Joe. You're totally right.
What's funny about the point that you're making is like you would see those actors. Oh, I just got this role. I didn't know anything about it. Like I think even Brie Larson, that people hate, said that,
Mhm.
and she started reading the comic to get to know the character. And I feel like actors in general don't prepare for the roles too much. And I don't know, like, rest in peace, but like Heath Ledger and some of the other great actors like that, they get so consumed in the role
Mhm.
that they go into a psych ward. They see how people react in there, and they do it so well that it consumes them. Because I feel like, I'm not going to say that's the reason why, but I feel like a lot of actors don't study for the role, don't do research anymore. It's like, all right, you can act, you've been in these movies, and people watch movies whether they suck or not. So it's like it's hard to determine, before we were growing up, if you heard word of mouth that movie sucked, no one's watching it.
True.
Now it's word of mouth. It's like, well, let me go see it for myself. And so like
Mhm.
you're still have the ability to make some money, if not break even in a lot of movies. But I feel like a lot of actors are just, I feel us three can go just do a movie. I don't have to be for the character. Give me the thing, I'll read it and I'll have my own interpretation of what I'm going to say. But there's no craft where you look and you're like when was the last time you, and this is to both of you, when was the last time you saw a character and you just said, dude, I hate this dude, man, because he's acting so well. Like I remember watching God and that son, dude, I was like, man, this guy sucks. He needs to die. Like, and that's just good acting. When was the last time we've seen that?
I can't think of any. Even with Jonathan Major, who killed it,
Mhm.
like he wasn't a dislikable villain.
Mhm.
He was an eccentric villain. He was
Yeah.
an intelligent villain. But I feel like after Thanos, they stopped trying to make villains villainous.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They all had to have this like, oh, there's a reason they're a sympathetic villain. And so to
Right.
your point, Joe, the the need to actually devote yourself to that
Hmm.
character to bring out what you need to, it's disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They want you to be like, well, he's got a point there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's like when Thanos was like, and what did it do but lead you back to me? You know what I mean? Like he just had, and it's his tone, his delivery, and he was Thanos. Like you can
Yeah.
look at him, this dude is Thanos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you look at Kang, and and Major was like he was good, but bro, he lost to Ant Man. Now don't get me wrong, Ant Man is kind of dope, I guess, but come on, dude, like you're supposed to be the prime Kang,
Yes.
Right.
and
Yes.
if you're beginning Kang and you're new Kang, okay, I get it, but you can't. but Kane can be beat by a rookie Lang.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I digress.
Yeah, dude, I agree with you 100% there. So, overall, I have to say I'm excited for this movie. I try to not go into movies with expectations because I don't want to be let down. I stopped doing that during. There might be a little phase 4 in this sentence, but that's when, that's when I stopped. That's when I stopped having expectations because we read the comic books and we're like, this is going to happen and this is going to lead to this and this is this, but then they're like, no, we're just going to change all that. We're just going to change it to fit this narrative that we have because we're trying to get this one thing and we're trying to make this one character important who's really not supposed to be that important, Captain Marvel. And so I just feel like, Mystique exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, right? Like when did Mystique become like just this super important character?
You know
She is
why?
Nightcrawler's mom though.
You know why? Because you have to put an attractive woman that can look good in the blue suit, or the blue,
Okay.
the blue color, which I get, but I know Alf will totally agree with me. There's so many other X-Men that you could do that if you really wanted to do that. You don't need a Mystique. She is not an X-Men. Now, she probably has been now, and I'm sure Alf's going to tell me, but when I was really into reading X-Men, guess what? She was not an X-Men. And and they change things all the time to keep the story moving because no one can think about anything good anymore. So it's everything they just, let's just do this. Let's do this. Cassandra was wants to come back and kill Professor. They try to kill Professor, but Professor S said, "No, you're not going to kill me in my womb." You're like, get out of here, dude. I'm like that is phase 4. That's phase 4 writing, to be honest. And, and hopefully Ryan Reynolds is like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could see him arguing with Kevin Feige a lot. No, that's not right. That's not, character's not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
I've heard on some podcasts and stuff where they brought stuff to him. They're like, well, we need you to put this in the movie. And he's like, no, that's garbage. I'm not putting this in the movie. He goes,
Wow.
I'll do something maybe similar, but it's not going to be this. This is not for me, and what is Marvel going to do? Sorry. That Ryan Reynolds, we don't need you anymore. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So,
Right.
it was nice that he has the power to hold the reins and lead in the right direction. So I'm so stoked for this movie.
Well, what's dope too is his movies are successful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, like he's doing it better than The Rock, because I feel like The Rock is the same way when it comes to being powerful to make decisions like that. But he just makes sucky ones.
Okay.
He just
abuses. He abuses his power.
Yeah, he just sucks. Where Ryan Reynolds is like, yo, I'm gonna stay true to this, and this is what we're gonna do. And he has the backing of him making money on movies. So, hey, I know what I'm talking about. The first 2, it was me. I'm making money. So why do I need you to help me if my idea is gonna make us more money? Just sit back,
He's probably like, I'll take that under consideration. Somebody throw us away.
Because I think then they said they had this whole thing where they were talking about She-Hulk. Because I don't know if it's true or not, but they're saying She-Hulk and the Captain Marvel, and Ryan Reynolds says, I'm not doing that. Yeah. Which means they wanted to further do their agenda.
Yeah.
And Ryan Reynolds is so smart. Like, bro, this is Deadpool, bro. That is not going to work with this movie, dude. I'm telling you, it's not. Yeah. And I guess they're so mad at Ryan Reynolds. But, dude, you're mad because you're not in a movie.
Right.
Right? We're happy because Ryan Reynolds is actually doing what a comic book movie should be about.
Right.
So you're just mad because you can't be in the movie. Well, you know what, dude? Maybe if you would have been a little bit better in She-Hulk and said, She-Hulk, and this ain't good, we should probably do it this way. You should have did it then. Or even with Brie Larson. I'm a huge fan. But from fans' reaction what they perceive about you. And if they write your character a certain way, I feel Brie Larson is well known enough to go, that's not that character. Again, it goes back to how much of reading did she do, right? Did she just read a comic and said, okay, I'm good? Or if she would have read more of the material. And I think that's probably what fans look at, not only, because they're afraid of her, feminism, but if you say I'm gonna read a comic and then you go do a movie and people were like, well, that's not really how she is in the comics. Did you really read the comic? Because if you remember the beginning stages of Marvel, when they had actors on their roles, they would say, "Oh no, we wouldn't do that. That's not it." And and circles back to Wolverine Origins, which you said was a terrible movie, and I agree. And and Deadpool was done so dirty in it, to have Ryan Reynolds come back and redo the character the way he wants to do it. That's an argument in itself. Look, Fox tried to do it this way. Look what happened. I do it my way. This is what happens. And I think it's just good leverage for him. And the dude already is paid, bro. He's rich.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he has that leverage. Like, bro, I already make money, bro. You either make more money with me or you don't. And try to make it without me, and you're not going to win. You need me. And it is cool, like, in the sense they do need him.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So as Joe was talking about Deadpool being done dirty, I just realized, like, Ryan Reynolds was with Blade, or Wesley Snipes in Deadpool, or in Blade 3.
Yeah,
and that character was very similar to Deadpool.
Yes.
Right.
So I'm like, I wonder if they're going to say, like, that was the same character in an alternate timeline. I would dig that. But here's my thought, which okay. So since we're near the end, rounding the corner on the Nerd World Order broadcast Deadpool prediction episode, I'm going to give you my prediction for the end credits, post credits scene. Okay. Now, I'm going to preemptively throw this out there, because for the past 70 years, Alfonso has been hoping this would happen. Rogue is going to come on, and she is going to absorb Captain Marvel's powers. And that is going to be the end credit, post credit scene. That's what I'm calling right now. Any thoughts on post credits? Are they going to suck? What do you hope to see? And then I'll let you guys finish it off.
I'm going to back you 132% because it needs to happen. It's got to happen.
Do you think that's probably why they got upset with Ryan Reynolds? Because if he did do something like that, that's the only. If you have no dialogue really, and you just see Rogue getting you, I want to do more. You see what I'm saying? But I feel like they're missing the point, because if they show you getting your powers absorbed, people are going to be like, well, what happened to her? You don't need her to say anything. That's why they said pictures are worth 1,000 words. It shows a video is worth more. And when you don't say anything, it hits harder than you actually have a dialogue. I'm like, come on, girl, we know what you sound like. You don't really need to have dialogue to make a point. And an actor should know that. So I don't know. They all start to get spoiled, I guess, and just lose, like, like with any job, you're there long enough, you're just like, whatever, I'm going to do shortcuts. I'm going to do this. I can still do this and still get paid. Like, it's just like a regular job, even though you're acting. But I'm sure they do the same thing.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm calling HR.
Yeah.
So I'm just, I try to be hesitant in my enthusiasm, and I try to maintain it, but I am just so excited for this movie. I got my tickets the day that, it was announced, the tickets were available. I'm ready to watch it. And so, I hope everyone enjoys the movie. I'm hoping that it lives up to my expectations, even though I try to limit them a little much. Joe, what about you?
Yeah, like, I think I don't want to make credit scenes. I just want one good one. Let's go back to that. Just one, like one good. It might have been like longer a little bit. But I just wanted a one good one. I don't need 10 end credits. I am okay with the Rogue and the Brie Larson, but bro, I want it to end like you get to see your new X-Men.
Yes.
Like somehow, some way, make it to where they're together. Make a new X-Men, and that's what I want to see. And unless he brings them in, and it's not an end credit, and you see them there. It'd be pretty cool to see, but I don't think they have their cast ready or who they want to pick out yet. Like and then that's a good way of announcing these are your new X-Men. And then, the internet would be like, oh my God, dude, this guy's playing that guy. She's playing her. You know what I mean? Like, I think that would be so dope, but wishful thinking. And every time I wish about things to happen, it never happens. Only sometimes.
Alfonso.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's like a really good end credit scene is amazing. At the very end, I wouldn't mind that very end end credit, like when he did the Ferris Bueller thing. He's like, show's over, go home.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with the Deadpool universe, Marvel universe, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that throws back an homage to like a classic movie. That would be super.
Yeah, that's good.
Both super and duper. And this concludes this episode of the Nerd World Order broadcast. So until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and knights of the Nerd World Order, I am NWO.
We are NWO.
Nerds Redefined. Booyah!